What's going on, gamers? It's Phil H here from Beneath the Veil, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are continuing on with our 101 series, and we are covering how to play offlane. So in today's replay, I'm showing you a game of Beastmaster that I played. This was a week or so ago now. As you can see here, I'm looking to secure the enemy bounty rune with my Undying here. Just get as much damage off on Medusa as I can, level 1. If Undying had chosen to go Decay there, I would have played a bit more conservative and just played for a little bit of damage, but since we were able to run him down with the zombie, I went along and did that instead. So when you're playing offlane, your goals in the early game are very simple. Main things you want to do is try and bully the enemy carry whenever you can and get as much damage in. You obviously want to be last hitting as much as you can as well. And then your main goal for the early game, and what really defines when you start to cross over into your mid-game strategy, is busting down the tier 1 tower of the enemy as quickly as you can. We got first blood down bot. And yeah, so this is really all I'm kind of focused on, is farming and then putting damage on the Medusa as much as I can. Trying to deny creeps as much as I can, just prevent her from scaling. Because that will make my game, by extension, so much easier. It will allow me to apply a lot more pressure on the map if I can suppress how effective the Medusa is. So yeah, there's not really much to watch here. I'm literally, you can probably play it through at double speed here. And just for reference, I'll put on last hits. You can see that Medusa's just got nearly 2 minutes in. So I'm poking where I can. I've denied 3 creeps. And yeah, my Undying's doing a really good job as position 4 of zoning the core off the wave. He's just, drawing a lot of space to himself, which means that it's much easier for me to, I'm doing little bits there to throw axes where I can and provide damage. Here we get, oh, I thought it was a nice double kill, but it was just single. And we're flirting with the idea of diving the Medusa. So he goes to chase, I just continue to push the tower because I know that this is the main priority. There you go. And now we've dragged the wave, so I'll farm that relatively in front of our tower. Just continuing to farm. Keep the lane in front of my tower just because I know that that frees up the Undying to do more if he wants, but the Undying was content to sit in the lane with me, which is totally fine. The main thing is, as you can see, it's almost 5 minutes in, and Medusa is currently, she's got 5 last hits, whereas I've got 20. So I'm just massively ahead. This is really the key as an offlaner. It's just, your goal is to make sure that their carry has no game. And then you want to push onto the map and restrict their farming space as much as you can, because that's going to be their fall off normally is. They would like to come and play through the jungle. Once we take out the tier 1, we're getting ganked here, but still trade out 2. So yeah, 2-for-1 trade despite the fact that Wind Ranger ganked. And now I'm just going back to pushing. So yeah, ideally what I would like is to, push down this tier 1, and then that gives me access to these 2 camps here to then farm and continue pressuring the tier 2. Once I pressure the tier 2, then I'm going to farm all of these camps over here. I'm going to farm all of these as soon as the tier 2 drops. And I'm basically going to push the Medusa back into this sort of an area. So yeah, there I get a nice double kill. Let's just go back just to see how that plays out. So yeah, Undying doing a lot of the legwork there, set that up. And then here I hit level 6, so I just decided to use my ult just to secure that kill. And now I'm continuing to push. I've got my Helm of the Dominator here. And this is just generally what you want to do. It's actually one of the reasons that I really like summons heroes. So I play a lot of Beastmaster, Visage, and a bit of Lycan as well. Lycan started to come back into vogue as of recent. But the reason I really enjoy these summons heroes is, one, there's more than one thing to control. but 2, they're really, really effective objective takers. And, you know, especially in lower ranks, this is what will help you climb, just because a lot of players don't know how to defend objectives, and they'll be so focused on hero kills that quite often they'll just give you free objectives if you've got the capacity to take them. I'm now farming this camp that's sort of pseudo-contested because they've still got control of this tower. But I'm farming these first so that if people do show, then I can fall back. And if they don't show, then I just get these camps for free. So I shipped out a bunch of mangoes, just some extra regen. Just to keep me topped up. Just because in the long run, it enables me to be more active on the map. There's no point in going back to base just to refill on mana. So here we go, apply some pressure to see what will happen. Medusa shows up Mystic Snake. So I'm just going to continue to pressure. And Undying's connected to me, so he's going to start spamming the Medusa. Drop Tombstone behind tower, and then there was a very awkward pause. I just ping out the fact that I've got my Primal Roar available, so I have every intent of running up on the Medusa and ulting him if he allows me that close. And as you can see now, I'm level 7, he's level 5. I'm pinging that out as well to say, like, look, hey, we're absolutely demolishing top lane, like, don't worry about us. So that my mid lane Viper, who was disconnected at the time, but he can focus more on securing bot and shutting down Kunker's game. Here we go. So I force a TP out of the Medusa, and now I'm just continuing to hover in the area and just keep consistent pressure on the tier 2. I could have rotated mid, but because the Wind Ranger was relatively ahead and I was stomping so hard top, I decided I was just going to go sit top and just try and take as many towers as they'd let me before I started forcing, you know, the entire game to me. So yeah, here I noticed that they're starting to rotate more people. I saw Witch Doctor on our vision. So now I'm starting to run mid, and I decide I've had enough there. So I'll come mid and then help him take it. Help Viper take the mid tower. So I was hoping I'd get that regen instead, but unfortunately Viper was not paying attention. That's fine, these things happen. So I'm just throwing out axes where I can. I don't really have any mana, so there's not much I can do. So I'm just hanging back, waiting for things to happen. There you go. And now I've regened a bit more mana, so I'll dominate a new creep. And now I'll go back to looking to pressure mid. So yeah, that Primal Roar was a little bit overkill because the Witch Doctor was so low, but just use it to get the hero out of there, and then I can continue doing what I came here to do, which was take an objective. I've taken that, and now I immediately leave to go top again, because I've always got in the back of my mind, push this. Like, you know, I always want to be pushing in what is my off lane, and I want to do as much tower damage as I possibly can before they start having the means to counteract my push. Because the nature of Summons Heroes is that once they start getting wave clear, then your game gets much, much harder and you become almost useless. You just become basically an aura carrier. So I'm just microwaving away my War Runner so that I still have the creep active, because this is one of the strongest creeps in the game. If you haven't seen my neutral creeps videos that I've done for the channel, please go and check those out. They're really good if you enjoy playing these summons heroes that normally pick up a Helm of the Dominator. A lot of really helpful information there about what specific creeps can help you in specific scenarios. But yeah, the reason I really like the War Runner with Beastmaster is that you've got a second follow-up. So you Primal Roar and then you Hoof Stomp once they're about to come out of your initial stun. So you might just see it here as I take this team fight. So I just decide to roar the Kunker there and get out. I see that Witch Doctor commits his ult, so I decide that he's not a threat anymore. So I open with axes, then stun him, clean him up. And here I go for Boots of Travel because I want to be more active on the map. I want to try and stand near towers and push them as much as I can. I don't know why the Mirana tried to TP out there when I have a War Runner, but it is what it is. And since I'm here, since I came here to help the team, I might as well push this tower. So I'm going to sit here and push this until it's not safe to do so anymore. Throw out my axes. I've put 3 levels in a fire here now, so all of my summons have got, you know, boosted attack speed as well as any ally in the area. So it's just a really strong passive. As you can see here, I'm just sending out a bird just to spot any TP rotations coming in through the trees. Now I'm just continuing to sit here. I could leave if I decide that, yeah, I think it's about here that I'm like, maybe this isn't a smart idea anymore. So yeah, I just get owned, which is what it is. Deciding whether I want to save the Centaur War Runner or not. I decide that actually against the Kunkka with Cleave it's probably smart to. And I decide maybe I need to do it for the stun. So I get a 2-man stun there. It was almost a 3-man. Just help the Crystal Maiden get out. If they choose to chase the Centaur War Runner over the hero, I'm happy, because I can always just, you know, go and dominate another. So Undying's shown a keenness to play bot. So I decide that actually I'm going to play around him, because he's, you know, a really strong killing support. See, the Witch Doctor's here, so he gets, you know, Primal Roared. And then I follow up with the Stump after. That's why this combo is really strong with Beastmaster in particular. If I was playing a Visage, I wouldn't necessarily get this creep, but yeah. Beastmaster in particular, super, super strong. One of my favorite combos. Now just continuing to push the lane out. There you go. So, now as I said in the very first video when I did hard support, the way that I like to classify when you cross over from the early game to the mid game is once you've got 3 towers down. Should that be the mid tower, your offlane tower, and one of the tier 2s, or all 3 tier 1s. It's when you really start firmly stepping into the mid game. So here I'm just looking to scout for vision. I didn't realize that the Wind Ranger was around me at the time. And now just starting to farm on their side of the map. So Hoof Stomp while the Freezing Field is going off. Wind Ranger just gets owned. So as we step into the mid game, what you really want to do is be escorting your support heroes into the enemy jungle to establish aggressive vision. So as you can see here, because we've now got access through taking their tier 1 mid and their tier 1 off lane, we've got some access to come and sneak in here. So my supports have established deep vision into the triangle so that we can see whenever Medusa's trying to play there. Here I decide, since I'm already here, I'm going to put pressure on the tier 2. Just because I know that my team is currently really strong. So the Viper almost ticks out. Oh, does tick out to Maledict. There you go. And we just get the tier 2 bot for free. So I was fully ready to commit my life to that because, you know, taking down towers, especially tier 2, are super ridiculously strong. So now that we've got a tier 2 down, we can start looking to take over this outpost, even though the AM isn't doing that yet. And I'm still where I can. I'm farming on their side of the map. The biggest error that you know, me and the team consistently see when we look at offlane players is that they completely neglect the fact that they need to be pressing onto the map, and they start falling back and farming their side of the map instead. That is the space where my mid and my safe lane carry should be farming. It is my job as an offlaner to be pushing out onto the map, to be pushing waves, to be farming the enemy camps, and then to be taking their objectives. That's really what my role is. And the moment I start to have that role, I'm balls to the wall pushing out. The only reason I might start falling back and farming safer camps is if I'm looking to hit a specific item timing that helps the team that I'm really close to. Then I'll play a bit more selfishly and play a bit more conservatively and safely because I know that it will expedite an item timing that will massively help the game. So yeah, here I decide to forego rushing towards a Helm of the Overlord because I don't really see a huge benefit in getting those advanced creep abilities. What I'd rather instead is get something like an AC, which will help my anti-mage scale. It's a bit of a team fight breaking out. And get a Deucer ult committed, so just turn your back. There's a Witch Doctor ult committed. My Undying's getting obliterated, so I decide actually maybe it's time to leave. I get shackled literally a millisecond out from TPing out, which is unfortunate. So I decide to roar. I forget that I can cut a tree there, which was a bit of a mistake on my part. Dodge an arrow, and then eat the old power shot. As you can see, we forced a huge rotation there. We forced out a bunch of their ults, like they don't have anything anymore. Which just means that we're now, we have a lot more space on the map. My Viper's super deep, is farming their ancients as well as pushing this lane. Got my anti-mage farming the same sort of area so they can fall back. We've still got our tier 1 bot. We've got our tier 1 top, so we're TPing in to defend that. Which is fine. Now we got the Viper over here as well. So yeah, another team fight breaks out. Got absolutely nothing to deal with this, so we just look to clean up their team. Throwing axes there. Medusa was not having a good game at all. And they're going to chase. I decide, no, actually, my job is still objective, so I'm going to push the wave instead. Benefit of me as a Beastmaster being here as well is that, as you can see here, if I stay near the creep wave and click on this creep, all of these creeps are being affected by Inner Beast. So by hanging around the creep wave, I do actually help it push faster. And as you can see, half that creep wave is still affected by my aura. So Beastmaster's aura is really, really strong. As you get into later stages of the game, I do like to literally just sit out of vision, just giving the creep wave the aura. Because they will do so much damage on their own, even without you physically being here hitting. See here, I decide to roar the Kunkka. I didn't realize he had Shadow Blade. So unfortunately, there's a bit of wave clear there, which makes us much harder. They commit a lot of spells here, so I decide that I drop the ball behind me to scout, and then I'm going to TP out once I decide that I'm safe to do so. This is really the biggest thing, is just to make sure that you're constantly applying pressure wherever possible, and then communicate with your supports how they can help you do that. So, on my team I was saying, hey, can we just try and get some deep vision so that I can continue to play around it while I push? And whenever my supports could, they'd make sure to do that. So here I decide, this is me just limit testing, because I've never played that many games of Beastmaster against Kunkka. Offlane to offlane, so I was just testing how much damage I could do. Turned out it was quite a bit, and now my AC is online, so I'm looking to try and play more and more around my team. Now that I've got those auras for attack speed especially starting to come online. This does make my anti-mage a beast, which means that he can drain Medusa's mana pool really quickly, which means that we can really effectively shut down the Medusa in particular. I mean, even the Wind Ranger, since she's an intelligence hero as well, there's a lot to be gained there as well. But my anti-mage struggled to be on the same page with me about playing around me and the fact that I was building all of these aura items to help buff him. So yeah, there were times when he would leave, and then there are other times like now where he'd play around me. And that's just the nature of pubs. You can't really, hold that against anybody. Raging at them that, they're not playing the optimal way isn't going to help. Just always try and make helpful suggestions like, hey man, I've got this online to help you. Can you help me help you by playing around me? And then more often than not, they will, when you explain the logic of why you're making certain item choices, that you're doing it to help them, they're more likely to want to help you. Whereas if you just straight up flame somebody for not doing the right thing, they're much, much less likely to listen. So yeah, here I'm just looking to, provide vision where I can. So I'm dropping hawks every now and then. I'm using my wild axes to cut trees wherever I can. And then, just giving the inner fire attack speed aura and now the assault curious attack aura, mainly to the wave, but also to my team, should we decide that we want to take a team fight. And then just making sure that I always have everything else up. So here I'm looking for a good roar. I know that yeah, there you go. So I bird vision. Yeah, I threw the wild axes through where I knew that the witch doctor was, and now I'm decide that Mirana's a little bit scary. And then I pick up a double damage rune, so I'm going to bait her up to the high ground and then turn. So I just absolutely clown on the Mirana. and then my enemy mage blinks in to secure the kill. So I was super happy with that. I was actually pretty stoked. I didn't think the Mirana would be that greedy, but never underestimate the ability of your enemy team to throw a game or a situation or a fight. You should always be playing for those things and disengaging, looking for a better engagement. Because more often than not, I've found that if somebody thinks they've got the advantage, they will press it, and they will press it well until the point that they don't. So yeah, now I'm just hanging out mid with the Animage, looking to see if we can secure this. See the Kunker's here, so it's a little bit scary, but then Viper TP's in. So Viper jumps straight on the Kunker. I decide to jump the Witch Doctor instead. And then he runs. Force out the Medusa ult, which is kind of funny. And yeah, there you go. I decide to dominate another creep since I don't have one up. I think I was pinging out bot to say, hey, we should look to push this instead. Because it seems like they didn't really want to defend bot that much. I decided to TP with my boots of travel since my team weren't really making moves. And then I did wonder if we did that on division, because suddenly my team are getting jumped. Which in hindsight is not super ideal, but we'd lost all of our map vision, so it was hard to keep track and tabs of where the enemy team were playing. So yeah, this was a bit unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. So I'm just pushing the wave with the Satyr, saying that, my enemy mage is still up. So things could be worse. He is getting chased here. I don't realize that Mirana's on top of me right now, so I'm about to get a surprise very soon. And then I ran through a sentry there, and that's when I realized why she was there. So I almost get the Mirana 2v1. I'm just eating more mangoes. I must have bought like 20 mangoes this game, man. Like, never be afraid to buy mangoes. They're just so strong. Especially on these sorts of heroes. And you see I just run down the Medusa. And the Mirana can't do anything to help that, because I've already run her down, She could try stunning, but she's probably just going to hit a creep. So, yeah, I was pretty amused by that. And now I see that I've attracted the other two. So, I get punished, which is alright, I got the position 1, got a bunch of damage onto their position 4. I was not fazed by that at all. And now I'm just continuing to push the wave with my creeps. It's another reason that I always really like summons heroes as well. So even if you die, you've normally got plenty of other things to do while you're dead. Whereas when you play any other hero, the second you die, you just sort of have to watch the game unfold and think about what to do next. Whenever I play a summons, there's always something to do. Yeah, doing a bit of farming here, because I expected that the enemy team were going to counter push the wave, which they didn't do. Just a little bit interesting. And then yeah, here I decide that I'm going to go for Halberd. I personally think that Halberd is a really underutilized item, especially in lower ranks, because a lot of players will just rely on some sort of right-click cheese that can just be straight up shut down by a Halberd, because normally it's a ranged hero that's doing that sort of ranged cheese. So think about your Winter Wyvern, core builds, obviously your Wind Ranger, your snipers, all those sorts of things. All your ranged heroes, whenever you halberd them, can be disarmed for 5 seconds. Which might not seem like a massive amount of time, but especially on a Beastmaster, when when you primal roar them, they're stunned for, what's that, 4 seconds at max duration. You get like a hoof stomp behind that, which is another 2 seconds, that's 6 seconds. Then you disarm them for 5 seconds, that's 11 seconds that they're out of the game. That is like enough for 2 team fights sometimes. So the amount of disable that a Halberd gives you alone, just preventing a lot of that cheese that relies on right click, is actually like ridiculous. There's heroes like Huskar. I really like getting a Halberd on. As you can see here from the minimap, I'm being ganked again. The Mirana and the Medusa just wanted to go on me apparently, so I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I've already done a bunch of damage to this combo once and run them down, so I was like, right, okay, now that I've zoned the Mirana out sufficiently, I'll chase her down a bit more. So you can see she Sacred Arrows one of my boars. So I'm just continuing to chase her out of the fight, just to keep her zoned, and my team clean up the Medusa behind me, because I've zoned the Mirana out from helping her. So yeah, just super easy. And then, there you go. Grab the Witch Doctor as well. Get the free D wards. And yeah, just continuing to push and push. So yeah, now that we've kind of gone into the late game, even though we're at 31 minutes, you know, this is why I don't like to talk about phases of the game in time, because some heroes, and especially these summons heroes, they like to push the pace. So you're approaching, you know, end game, sub 30 minutes sometimes. So yeah, a bit late this game, just because I did force a bunch of pressure onto me, and my team weren't pushing lanes as much as I would have liked, but as you can see here, even though the Medusa's up, we're just ignoring her and just taking objectives. And now that we got those, we're looking to disengage. And now I'm just saying, hey guys, like, don't forget about objectives. They force out the Medusa roll. The only reason I'm not helping here is that I don't have Primal Roar, so I'm actually much more helpful to go and push. Just because I'm giving, again, the entire creep wave my attack speed buffs from AC and in the fire. So yeah, while they were technically losing that team fight, I was doing a bunch of damage to another tier 3, and now I'll just TP out and then just continue to apply pressure. To relieve pressure in this case. And now I'll start to firmly play on this side of the map now that we've got the bot racks. This is really sort of how your late game goes. So as you can see, just more of the same. Thinking about items that I want to go next. Get more mangoes. You know, I look to set up. Get a free kill. Forcing out a team fight. Force a Medusa roll, so turn my back. Get the disarms whenever I can. And yeah, at this point I am firmly just an aura and a stun. And some utility. So I'm throwing out axes where I can. Disarming where I can. Disarm on the Wind Ranger, make her useless. There you go. And I'm just, you know, giving my anti-mage just a huge amount. So you can see here in my talents, I specifically got the additional 10 in a beast attack speed to bring up my total to 50, so that, you know, if you think about what the anti-mage is getting, he's getting 30 attack speed from the aura, and then he's getting 50 from my inner fire, inner beast. So he's getting additional 80 attack speed. If you think about that, with the fact that he's got mana burn as well, he is just like a beast in a team fight, as long as I'm alive. So, you know, I am looking to use my skills from the back, make sure that he's getting all the benefits of what I can give him in terms of auras, and then, you know, providing stuns and stuff like that where I can. And dying overextended a little bit. He actually said in game that he shouldn't have been there, so, you know, good awareness from him to know that he should have been playing more team, but, you know, it's a pub. Things like that are going to happen. And yeah, now the Wind Ranger's just going to get vastly outplayed. I blink and stun her, because I thought the enemy was just going to follow up. There you go. And then she manages to get through. Mystic Snake comes out. Yeah. And then I'm using my pings to tell them that I'm retreating. It's like, hey guys, it's a bad fight, we can just leave now. Meanwhile, because we've got super creeps in this lane, like they're always pushing. So always worth thinking about. Not sure what my Viper was doing here. This is a bit of a throw, but again, it's pubs. These things are going to happen. And now I'm just looking here for an overwhelming blink. Since I was getting into, you know, very late game items, it was really the catch on the backline that I wanted to focus on. Because I had the confidence that so long as I could catch somebody and stun them, then my team would have no issue cleaning them up. Just making sure that I could get to the ones who actually mattered. Like the Conqueror I don't really care about, like his crits and splash is annoying, but it is what it is. I'm much more worried about the Medusa, the Witch Doctor, the Wind Ranger. The Maranas, not so much. So yeah, I decided Blink was the way to go, and then into Overwhelming Blink just because it makes me a little bit more tanky and just survivable. And now I'm just doing more of the same, just pushing lanes where I can. Looking to push the Super Creep wave with my summons. And monitoring what happens. I see that I force a rotation there, so I pull my creeps out. Don't just want to endlessly feed your creeps, you do actually want to preserve them if you can. And yeah, now my team's going to take a team fight. With my Blink stun a bit there, which is unfortunate. But then Medusa shows, so she gets stunned up again. There you go. So take out the pos 1. And now this is family like, okay, I could just push mid here and take Rex and then just straight up end the game. Because at this point, the counter push is really just Kunko. So if I can grab him as well, that's like the dream for me being able to just go in and end the game. Just throwing axes, just tanking stuff. It's actually really smart on my Undying's part to get Crimson Guard. There you go, so Blink's on the Witch Doctor. Just try and get him out. This does look a bit like I'm baiting. I kind of am. I really just have no like helpful spells. So yeah, I was just staying back, keep my auras up, and then just throwing wild axes to help amplify damage and stuff like that. And then since I got the space, I'll just take objectives. Go on Mirana to make her run away, and then just continue to take objectives. Decided to go for Megas here since so many of them are dead, and I just want to secure the game. Force out the glyph. And yeah, so take our first set of ranks at 30 minutes. 10 minutes later, very firmly ending the game. Blink stun. And there we go. So again, find ourselves in the position again where the team is diving and just as always, just secure games. But yeah, that is the game. Hope you learned something. If there's anything you'd like me to clarify about certain stages of the game, please drop a comment and either me or one of the other members of the team will get back to you. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.